Gino, fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time today. Pumped to have a chat about a couple of different projects, or one major project around JVT specifically, but maybe you'll give us a broad scope in general around JVT. But maybe just as a form of intro, you're very well known for someone who's only in Dubai a couple of years, which is amazing. I think it's kudos to yourself and your reputation for handling clients in an incredibly good way, really looking towards what they genuinely need rather than ever. There's no doubt about it. You don't hard sell anybody, which is phenomenal. It's actually extremely rare in this market. Let's call it as it is. So that being said, super grateful for you taking the time, and maybe you'll tell us a little bit about your backstory, what brought you to Dubai, and then we maybe trickle on from there.
Of course, Garvin. Thank you so much for having me, my man. Absolutely. So I'm in Dubai 2 years, almost to the day. It'll be on the 23rd of September. 2 years ago, I came here. Background is all sales, really. So finished school when I was 17 or whatever, went to college for about 3 months, didn't do that, left college and went into car sales then. So I sold cars for about 6.5 years, came to Dubai, followed kind of someone I knew who was doing well over here, got chatting to him, had nothing holding me to Ireland besides my family, of course, but they were very encouraging to leave. Came over here, done leasing for about 5 months, but I felt like I was a little bit beyond it in the sense of I was 26 and I had 7 years of sales experience. So doing leasing probably wasn't really the fit. Went into sales then and worked for a company called Strata. So one of the top companies in Dubai. We have multiple awards and I'm a senior associate there now. And this year I have sold over 35 off-plan properties. So far, we're in the 9th month, so 35 off-plan properties. And I made it out the other day, 75% of them properties were to Irish investors. So
amazing.
Which is really, really interesting. So we're getting a lot of Irish people of all ages, of all walks of life, some multimillionaires, some people just starting out, just out of college, had saved up 50, 60,000 euros. And they're like, look, I don't want to put this into the market here in Ireland. Show me what you got. And then once you introduce off-plan, as you know, you can make 60,000 euros go a long way in off-plan. It can bring you 2 or 3 years' time. And then Dubai are very open to giving Irish residents and non-residents mortgages here as well at very good rates. So we can get into that a little bit more in a bit. But yeah, some of these people are able to just put 50% up front over the next 3 years. And then they're able to mortgage the final 50% on handover. And they're left with properties showing them returns of 7, 8, or 9% sometimes rental, and not including the appreciation, obviously, that it gains going from a off-plan unit to a ready unit. So we can break down into that more and more as time goes on, I guess. But that's kind of what I specialize in. I would say, in overseas investors, mainly British and Irish, and breaking into the Dubai market through off-plan properties for the most part.
Amazing, Gino. Absolutely phenomenal. The fact that I think, what are we on, like week 37 or 38, and you've done 35 off-plan properties, that is a commendment to, what you're doing. It's genuinely phenomenal. So onwards and upwards on that front. And it's super interesting, as you said, and as you alluded to, we'll touch more on it a little bit later, but the Irish market, the UK market, obviously there's a lot of challenges in those markets. And I think the ease of doing business in the UAE and just like the smoothness of investing is so drastically different. Lack of paperwork, lack of bureaucracy. And would you see that being a factor?
Yeah, it's actually bizarre. And you know something? It's so straightforward. It's funny. It actually frightens Irish people sometimes.
Yeah.
So I had one guy in particular, and he said to me, he's like, I've bought over 20 properties in my life. And you're telling me all I need to do is send you my passport and then pay 10,000 euro to this payment link, and then I own a property. And I was like, pretty much. It's like, it's so hard to explain, right? Because I'm sure you've probably bought properties in Ireland. I bought 2 properties in Ireland in the past, and it's a 6-month process. There's solicitors, there's everything involved. It costs a bomb. It takes forever, and at any point, one party can pull out. Now, we're only talking about off-plan here, so you're not even buying off another person. You're buying off a developer. You're buying off a company. But even in the secondary market here, people are tied in, and it's usually a 30 or a 60-day contract. It's rarely more. and then you have your property in your name. So it's extremely easy business here. It's very easy to move your money to here. There's no restrictions on that side of things. Of course, Ireland is not a blacklisted company or country either, so it's very easy to take your money out of Ireland. And then in regards to your taxes, when it comes back to Ireland, which is everyone's main concern, you just pay them as normal. So not only do you have a property in another country that's giving you more returns, and it's arguably a better quality and a better buy, and then you just pay the same tax as if it was in Ireland. So
it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's really phenomenal. And then I think it helps when you have someone like myself over here who's like a familiar face, right? Like they may not know me, but everyone likes to deal with someone that makes them feel familiar. And I think that's kind of why it works so well for me, for taking over these Irish people. So
makes sense. I think that's one of the amazing things about Ireland. We've got such a small population that really, I know sometimes Irish people will say it laughably, but it's one or two people from a connection, and you can kind of have someone.
It's always one or two. It's never more. You're never going further to. No matter what side of the country you're in, there's always someone, right?
Totally. So it brings an inherent trust, which is clearly, seen through the amazing results you've had, and the fact that you're a senior associate after 2 years is really, phenomenal stuff. So I guess then to segue into kind of, I know we were speaking beforehand about some areas that like currently kind of excite you. If I was to say to you, I'm coming in ice cold, tell me about Dubai, talk to me about where it currently interests you. You brought up very rightly that JVT is somewhere that kind of goes unseen in a way, but a phenomenal location, so central. And I think with the reshaping of the landscape of Dubai, with, let's say, the new airport coming online in a couple of years, and just general the shift southbound, that JVT all of a sudden is kind of right smack bang center, arguably.
Yeah, JVT is like something super interesting to me. So when I first moved here, I specialized more in the north of Dubai. So I was dealing with like Dubai Creek Harbor, downtown, places like that. So JVT, I actually hadn't been there. I just literally hadn't had any reason to go there. It's a mainly residential community. And I have one client who I was doing some renovation projects with at the start of the year. And we looked at a villa in JVT, and when I went in there, I said, "This place is nice." That was my only thought. I was like, "This is a nice place. I've never been here before." Had a little look around, and then a project came up called. So we have JVT there. So you see it. It's basically about a 10-minute drive to the marina. It is bordering then multiple golf courses, really. So you've got Jumeirah Golf Estates 1, you've got the Els Club, you'll have Jumeirah Golf Estates 2, and you're just down the road from the Montgomery as well. So if you're into your golf, you're in that. There's 2 schools in JVT, and then right in front of it there, you'll see 2, well, actually more than 2, there's 4 major villa communities there. So you've got Jumeirah Park, you've got Emirates Hills, which is basically Billionaires Row, Jumeirah Islands, Springs, and Meadows. So they're all extremely popular and extremely sought after villa communities. JVT itself is around 80% villas also. So like what we're going to look at is an apartment building within JVT that I'm really, really bullish on. And the reason I am bullish on it is one thing I think about, and I think about it all the time, is if this market does correct, or when this market corrects, what's going to stand the test of time is the best building. It's not going to be the best area, because areas can be good for every single different reason. For example, if you worked in DIFC, JVT probably isn't the best area for you. So areas can be good, but what's important is that you have the best building in that area, which is why I think Sol Levante is so good. Now, it's easy for me to say that, so I think it's important to obviously break it down a little bit. I just so we're clear, I have bought this myself. I bought it last month, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Bought a property here, and I've sold 11 properties to date in this project, which only launched like 6 weeks ago or 7 weeks ago, maybe at this point. So to give a little background on who they are, they've been a developer here for 51 years they've been a construction company for 51 years called Bahari. I can't pronounce it very well, but anyway, construction company doing construction of the likes of JVC Mall. They built that. They built the Hillside Mansions in Jumeirah Golf Estates. They've built the Edition 5-star hotel in downtown. They built the Radisson Blue Hotel on the Palm. They've built, there he is now, Batty, so he's the CEO. And they've built then their own buildings. So they have Sol Avenue, Sol Bay, and some other buildings as well. So the Ocean House by Ellington, that was a joint venture on the Palm with Sol, and they've also built Oakley Place in JVC. So like the list as long as your arm, and they're also now building, there you go, that's in Victory Heights, townhouses there, and they're also building Fairmont residences in downtown. They've just launched a new building called Sol Lux on the Sheikh Zayed Road. And they are, which I can't mention exactly what it is, but they're launching a luxury building at the end of this year on the Palm Jumeirah again with a very, very well-known fashion brand.
Amazing.
So, Joe, when you can yap like that and bore someone with that many facts and figures about a developer, do you know what I mean? It's just like, so when they came out that they're launching in JVT, on a 100,000 square foot plot, which is big enough for 4 buildings, but they bought the whole thing with only 600 units. If that was 4 buildings, it would be 2,000 units. It's 600 units, 50,000 square foot of amenities with the quality of Sol. That is going to be the best building in JVT without a shadow of a doubt. Not only that, in front of it, it's all villas the whole way. Jumeirah Park, Jumeirah Islands, the whole way to JLT, it's all villas. So I think the competition is going to be almost zero, besides of a couple of nice towers that are coming in JVT as well, Benghazi, Flair, for example. But I think this is by far going to be the best tower in JVT. It's going to be one of the final handovers in JVT too. So it hands over on September 28, and it's going to be one of the final plots to hand over of apartments in the community. So not only will you have the newest apartment, you'll probably have one of the last ones, and I believe you'll have the best quality with the most amenities.
That's amazing. No construction around you. I think you're making a really interesting point as well around, I would bet that most people in Dubai haven't heard of Sol as Batia as a constructor, as a developer, but when you dig deep, it just shows that it's not all about the names that you might have seen on a billboard. In fact, oftentimes it's quite the opposite. There's a benefit to seeking out high quality, quieter developers like this that have just produced pure quality and no failures over 50 years, which is, a real testament to the caliber. I think, as you said, the fact that this is handing over in 2028 and therefore there'll be no construction around you. This is it. That's the area, the whole master development complete. That's a very exciting prospect. So all makes a lot of sense.
And so there you go. That's kind of like, obviously this is all like generated something on a reel. You've got your marina view in front of you. That's your amenities deck. So the amenities, just to list off roughly what they have: indoor and outdoor gym, floating yoga area, pets park, children's indoor and outdoor play area, huge swimming pool, paddle court, pitch and putt, barbecue area, and a outdoor cinema. That's spread over 50,000 square foot amenities deck on the 7th floor. And incredible. That marina view is impossible to obstruct, because if you remember on the Google Maps we were looking at, that there's nothing to be built there. It's all villas already built. So, and built a long time ago as well.
That's amazing. That is really one extremely unique aspect of it. Like, having that clear view is kind of one in a million at this stage.
Yeah, in terms of the actual, it's quite difficult to get something you can confidently say won't be blocked, right? Like, it's like there's always something in Dubai. There's always a little plot here, a little plot there. This cannot be blocked. It's literally built the whole way as far as JLT. There's nothing can come in between.
Yeah, amazing stuff. This is a good example of what you said. Typically this will be 4 towers worth, and that nearly kind of conveys the shape of the plot and how you would typically see 2 more, if not 3, fired up here. So yeah, very, very unique in that sense. That living space and that kind of all-in community feel with all of those amenities really makes it extremely unique. Yeah,
for sure. Again, look at these brochures. I'm always one to I always skip past the brochure nearly with a client, because there's a lot of like fluff in there, right? But you get an idea of what they're going for. They're going to have saunas, they're going to have steam rooms, 2 gyms. When you look at the floor plans, actually, if you go back up, Garvin, just to the studio there for a second, just to show you this. So that's the studio floor plan, and if you look at the size on the top right hand side, it's about 428 square foot total area. The first studio I lived in Dubai was a 303 square foot studio including the balcony. So this is 428 total area, 344 square foot studio. That is bigger than the average studio in Dubai. And on top of that, then it's only on the side of the building. So you actually can choose between a sunrise or a sunset unit. Yeah, which is super rare. Studios are usually just bashed into the back of a building, but they've put them on the sides of both the buildings, so you do actually get a bit of an option. Often with studios, you take what you're given. Now, I've actually been pushing the sunrise option to all my clients for the reason that if you on the side of the building that the sunrise is on, if you're on your balcony and look left, you'll still see the marina. Whereas on the sunset side, if you're on the balcony and look right, you're gone past the marina, you won't see the skyline. It's only a small thing, but I think it's worth that little extra benefit. So
definitely. Is that in the sense of the sunrise units are facing outwards this direction?
Yeah, so the sunrise are facing, like, let's say towards the roundabout there.
Yeah.
But if you were to look left, you'd still see the marina skyline. Whereas if you're on the other side of the plot, you're going to be too far gone then, and you won't be able to see it.
Understood. A little zoom out just to give a bit of context. So straight over to the marina here.
Yeah, exactly.
So exactly, really interesting stuff. That's great. Yeah, and then you can see the floor plan here, nice and spacious, actually, and decent balcony as well, which is great. Obviously, these are to scale, and as you said, there's always a pinch of salt taken with brochures. It's all CGI imagery, but it does give a general sense.
It gives you the most sense. Now, this is something. So the one beds are interesting. So that one on the right is what I bought, a 1+ study. The study, they sell it as a children's bedroom. You can go whatever way you want with it, right? It's a room you can do whatever you want with. It's big. It is a big, and it also comes to this second bathroom actually has a shower. If you see that there, so it's not a powder room. It's actually a full bathroom. So technically speaking, you could do it as a kid's room, and they have their own bathroom. I personally do see it as more of a study, but you can spin it whatever way you want, I guess. But yeah, they're a good layout. They're about 870 square foot, if I'm not mistaken. 856 square foot. Yeah, so pretty decent. And they come front marina facing. They come with a side marina view looking over the amenities, and then they come with a back facing, essentially the front of the building, but it comes facing the main road. But if you're up high enough, you'll actually have a Jumeirah Golf Estates 2 view. So my unit's on the 16th floor, so I will be looking over the main road, but towards Jumeirah Golf Estates 2. Then that one bedroom they have, I actually haven't sold any of them. They have a nice view. They're looking at the marina. My concern is just the size of the units. They're 548 total size. I think it's a little bit small. They are priced well. They're only 1.2 million. So if you did not want to buy a studio, but you wanted something, there's a use for them. I just personally, I'm not selling them to my clients. There's only 30 of them in the building. So they are the least produced unit in the whole building.
And the 1+ study, what are they coming in at roughly at the moment?
So there's I think the cheapest you'll get one now is about 1.32 million dirhams, and they go up as far as 1.6 depending on the view.
And obviously, bearing in mind if someone is not so familiar with it, that's obviously on a payment plan. So you're not paying 1.3 mil by any stretch up front. You're paying it.
It's a 50-50 payment plan. So it's 20% in the first year, and then you pay 7.5% every 6 months after that, and then you have a year break until handover. So it's really, really flexible. Really flexible payment plan.
Understood. And do you think in that sense, does that tie in with what you were mentioning earlier? Do you think these are applicable for some folks to go for a 50% mortgage at the end, or would you say that
pretty much everyone is applicable for that 50% mortgage? So the way it works, not to bore people with mortgage talk, and if they want to know more, we can obviously speak to them in private. Every situation is a bit different, but the way the mortgages work for a non-resident is that they'll allow you a 60% loan to value, right? So in most cases, you'd have to have a 40% deposit and you could borrow 60%. But because you've already put 50% into this, you can actually borrow the full 50% without putting down any more money. As an Irish resident, all you need is 6-month bank statements and 6 months of pay slips. And the banks here will loan to you as a non-res, which is like super, super good, obviously. And you can also you could actually borrow the other 10%. Also, you could take the full 60% and use that to reinvest if you wanted to. But I'm advising my clients mainly just to borrow that 50% on
Just be
handover.
prudent.
If they need to. Obviously, if you can pay it off, great. But for most people, like obviously, that's a chunk of money, right? So I would recommend leveraging that 50% and letting your tenant pay your mortgage for you. Basically, that would be the plan, right?
Exactly. When you break it down, it's phenomenal. You've got like essentially 2 to 3 years to pay off 50%. You have a year break, then quickly organize your mortgage, and then thereafter it's paid for by the tenant. So in reality, you're putting down half of what you're investing, and then you're letting that pay its own way for the next whatever 15, 20 years.
Yeah, and and I don't want people to think that it's only going to cover their mortgage. Like any quotations I've done, it's been like, basically we'll pay your mortgage, and then whatever you're paying your mortgage, it will also pay you that again on top of it into your pocket or into your bank account, obviously. So the it's a really, really good payment plan, especially for overseas investors. I think I've sold I think I have 7 Irish owners in here, 6 Irish owners in here so far. So and starting from the age of 21 is the youngest purchaser. So it's some really good opportunities here.
Really good stuff. Exactly. So another little example of just JVT in general in terms of the map. Always have to catch myself. JVC rolls off the tongue so quickly. Having, we're also blinded by JVC, but JVT, here we go here. And in terms of the view out towards the marina, there you can see it.
And there. in just regards to like connectivity for JVT, for anyone who maybe isn't familiar with it. So I've done these drives myself. So these aren't just made up figures. So you're about 11 minutes from Sol Levante to the Marina Mall in Dubai Marina. You're also 12 minutes from Sol Levante to Expo City, which is going to be a huge hub for people to work in, and is the entrance into Dubai South, right? So you're actually getting you can get a little bit of that Dubai South purchase power while also buying in a completely finished community, basically. And then you've got obviously the new mall opening up in JVT, which was built a long time ago and never finished. But Nikhil have started back at it, and it's going to be finished at the end of 2026. So before Sol hands over. Then you have Jumeirah Golf Estates 2 in that big empty plot there that has been started also. And then Dubai Hills is only down the road, right? So your connectivity wise, you're pretty well connected, along with having 2 schools already in the area. And then hospital wise, you've got King's Hospital just down the road. And then you have that hospital in DIP, which the name has gone past me. But so you've got like 2 or 3 hospitals within like 10 minutes drive also.
It's amazing. I think an interesting point as well for anybody who may or may not be familiar with, like, JVC is phenomenal. A lot of folks are heavily invested in it. However, one of the challenges with it is just the layout, like the sheer fact that it is circular. It doesn't really have, as you can see, there is an element of a master plan to it. However, there is variance, and therefore like access can be challenging. Whereas what I love about JVT is it's so direct. It's so easy to access in and out. It's drastically different to JVC. So even though, as silly as it sounds, like, even though the names might seem familiar, the locations seem familiar, actually the access point and the speed of travel is dramatically different. Very different.
And as well, just since we're talking about Sol, it's actually right on the entrance. So it's on the main entrance. You're leaving, it's very quick. So leaving, it's like 30 seconds out of the community. Coming in, it's a little further because you have to drive down and come up. But when you're leaving, you're basically straight out. So it's super, super quick.
These are minor things that seem kind of unimportant now, but they're drastically, important as things go on. So that's a phenomenal aspect to it. I think overall, there's no doubt about it. Like, JVT has a lot of upside, a lot of amazing amenities around it, and then I think just the general scope of where the swing of Dubai southbound is going. So then touching back on, as you said, in terms of the payment plan. So here we have a bit of a breakdown. Would this still be valid, or is this?
Yeah, that's 100%. So you 10% on booking, 10% 30 days later. On that second 10%, you'll pay your DLD. So if any of the viewers don't know what DLD is, it's your Dubai Land Department charge. It's basically like stamp duty. It's 4%, and you pay it on every single purchase you make in Dubai. Secondary, off-plan resale, whatever it is 4% of the total amount, and that will be paid on the second 10%. Then your 7.5% every 6 months, up until, let's say, July 2027. and then
Yeah.
you have about 14 months then until handover.
Yeah.
Which
Understood. And
is a mortgageable amount then, yeah.
A mortgageable amount, exactly as you said. So realistically, for 95% of folks, they're really only covering this 50%, and then also there's tons of time to organize the mortgage, which is amazing. Like you're in no kind
exactly. And then if you want to talk in euros, just briefly, let's just say for a studio, if you have including DLD, if you have 100,000 euros, 97,000 euros, that will get you from the start of the payment plan all the way till just before the handover amount. So it'll get you basically the full way. 100,000 euros will get you from now until you need to get a mortgage, including your fee, including your DLD fees.
And bear in mind, exactly, that's also broken out over 24 months. So it's not even a 100K required today. It's dramatically less.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's dramatically less. So I usually find, I talk to people, they've got about 60 or 70 grand saved up. Like, okay, that's going to get you pretty far. And then let's see, Joe, you can save up as you go then again for them final bits. So it's I hate to use the word a no-brainer when it comes to investments, because everything's different for everyone. But I really, really believe in this one. I think just everything adds up: developer, location, quality, price, payment plan. It all just adds up. And JVT in general, the competition for good apartments is going to be pretty low, to be honest. There's some nice stuff in there, but nothing that's going to compare to this. Nothing.
Yeah, the amenities, the developer quality, the location, it all stacks up exactly like you said. Gino, that's fantastic. You've given us a great kind of deep dive into yourself, your own background. For anyone who's interested in speaking to you about other projects, you've given us a great background on JVT in general, on this developer, and then also a really good education around how mortgages work, how payment plans work, because that's the big aspect. If you're coming from an ecosystem that this feels foreign, in the UAE, this is the norm. This is how people tend to stack properties over years and do very well with it, because it's very, for want of a better word, organizable. You can very much organize yourself around it. It's not the fear of, let's say, investing in the UK or Ireland, where it's the vast amount of someone's capital usually goes straight down, and then obviously it's buffered typically by a mortgage. But most folks are generally out of the game then for quite a while. Whereas with the UAE, you can have multiple property plans kind of underway, and then just be clever about how you manage those.
Yeah, it's all just about, like, obviously not over leveraging yourself, but understanding how to leverage. That's the difference, right? Like people hear the word leverage and they kind of half like get scared because of the past. But like, there's over leveraging and then there's learning how to leverage. And my job essentially, like, I don't consider myself in sales anymore. I wish my job was a little more salesy, because that's what I love. But I'm almost now just like, I just guide people, explain leveraging to people, make sure they're buying the right thing. I'm almost just like I'm like a bodyguard to protect from bad investments, and then I just a little bit of an advisor. I nearly missed the sales aspect a little bit, but it's just the way the market is at the moment. It's more about advice rather than selling. People know it's good here, and you don't need to tell them how great the UAE is. You just need to make sure they're buying the correct product, and that's all it really is.
Well, I think, again, that's, as I said at the start, that's a compliment to yourself, G, because I think there is a lot of folks out there who are maybe not focused on the consulting and the bodyguarding and the guiding, and there's a lot of the opposite. So I think that's why clearly there's a reason why you've done 35 units so far. We're only 37 weeks throughout the year, and I'm sure you'll easily hit 52 within 52, no doubt about it.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. That'll happen itself. So amazing. Anyway, thank you so much for today, Gino. We're looking forward to doing more of these, deep diving into specific areas and then expanding out into an extra little bit of content like the mortgage stuff. So yeah, massively grateful for the time today.
Absolutely, Gavin. And just for the viewers as well, if this wasn't relative to you, we are going to touch on all sorts of different aspects. So we're going to go into luxury market. We'll be doing entry level, luxury market, mid level, townhouses, villas. We will touch on everything over time. So it's not going to be just the same style project every time.
Exactly. Stay tuned for a good mix of coverage over the next while. Amazing, Gino. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to that next chat.
Cheers, Gavin. Thank you.